pure connection to an audience is transparency. And that's something that I had left out in the beginning to now bring it back to bring some people. If he did that strategy, I think he's a genius. I don't think this was by chance at all. Yes, we saw the DMs. Yes, we got it, okay? Brandon Marshall, I Am Athlete, has finally came out to talk about the breakup. So now, as we know, the pivot, which consists of Fred, Channing, and Ryan, right, have been very verbal since probably day one about the breakup and why they left, the whole nine. So we've only heard one side. Well, now finally, months later, here comes Brandon Marshall and giving his side. Now I have a whole theory of why he came out this way and things like that. I don't know. I didn't talk to him personally, right? But want you to hear the clip. I'm going to give my theory. I definitely want to hear what Moose says. But yeah, here goes the clip.
I didn't know. I came as a homie, as a brother. Yo, we can sell a show. Here's what happened. I say, look, guys. I talked to my agent, WME. Everybody can bust it down. You know how we talk. Bust it down. Bust it down. This is how much it's going to cost us, the investment for the production for season 1.
Is this crowd of them?
Everybody, yeah, we in a meeting. We in a meeting. SA's involved too. So boom, we all sitting there. It's going to be about 100 and something thousand, about 35,000 a piece. But if y'all don't choose to do that, then here's a per show episode fee. From the beginning, Fred was like, you know what? I believe in ownership. Channing said his exact words, I like security. I don't really like to take those chances or whatever. I'm gonna take the per show fee. We break through. That 100-something thousand investment that we said it was gonna take, it turns into like 600, 700,000. So Fred after one of the shows, like, yo, let's tighten up the business. Cool, bet. But when we sit in the office and he basically like, yo, I want X percent. I'm like, I don't, like, bro, everything changed. Cause the investment was bigger. You know what I'm saying? My wife working on this, she ain't got paid. SA came here to run House of Athlete. She not, boom, boom, boom. So when you really look at the numbers, it's like crazy now. And I'm so like, the percentage changes.
Wow. Before I give my theory, Moose, what you think?
Man, very interesting clip. I don't know that I have a theory to mirror yours. I'm actually excited to hear what your theory is. But I think just standard practice is what I took from it, because I really enjoyed the full episode, to be honest. I think there was a really cool, just almost relationship or tone that came away from it. And from that particular part, I was just thinking about, man, that is standard in business. Mm-hmm. It sometimes happens, and you overshoot a budget. Rarely ever do you undershoot a budget. Rarely ever do you say, hey, we're gonna go for 100. Yo, we only spent 70. I'm about to give you back 30. I mean, that rarely ever happens. But you're always going to overshoot a budget. But to 5x or 6x that budget, I mean, I don't know, of course, the details of how much time and all that was involved. Mm-hmm. But, I think my thing is, at the end of the day, I got to go back to the concept of communication. I think it's okay to overspend it. But if you went into it with someone who was saying, oh, I'm an owner in this, or I'm a partner in this, you should have revisited those dialogues along the way, just to avoid that surprise of, sorry, bro, can't do what we thought we were gonna do. Which, by the way, is completely fair game. If you thought you were gonna spend 1, you ended up spending 10, and the business makeup has changed as a result of that, that is fair play. I'm not against that at all. But I'm just saying, I think, and I think, I don't know if he spoke to it at some point, but yeah, definitely just communicating that along the way. Hey, y'all, so we're about to go back in for this. What y'all want to do? And continue to upgrade that makeup throughout is, probably one of the things that I would say for those of you who are listening and you're entering partnerships and all that stuff, keep that journal and keep it open so that, you know, people are tuned in on the same page, and that stuff is water under the bridge ultimately.
So ultimately, if you were Brandon, how would you have done that so other people can possibly, you know, take the right route when it comes to partnerships and, you know, the communication that you're speaking about?
Yeah, I mean, so low key, this has flight assessment issues written all over it, or like a flight assessment
Shout out
scenario.
to the flight assessment.
Yeah, flight assessment scenario. Written all over it.
Yep.
Flightassessment.com.
I don't know if you took it.
Put that out there.
I heard it. You may need to recently.
You might need to. Yeah.
You may need to, but we talk about that another time.
Yeah, a little later. But no, I get, so for example, typically whoever's in that head seat or the leader, and to be honest with you, all of that aside, the one with the biggest vision and the one who has the most drive and passion to make that vision a reality sometimes has to go without having to stop every way or at every pit stop and say, hey, everyone, I just want to tell you guys that we're about to spend some more money, right? It's like, bro, I'm out of here. Driven. I'm driven to make, I need to make this thing happen. I'm going to update you when I finish the race. How about that? Let me not update you at every pit stop, but I'm going to update you when I finish the race. But because of what I've learned about different personalities not feeling the same way or thinking and seeing life and or business the same way, it's easy for them to feel excluded. It's easy for them to feel as though things are disorganized or they might be getting cheated on, whatever the case may be. So my thing is, when big, drastic changes have to be made to the makeup of a business, send an update. Hey, fellas, just want to let you know, here's what we're coming up in, here's what we're coming against next. This is what it's going to take. Do you guys want to continue the same way? Or do you want me to just maybe add it to the balance? Whatever, right?
Right.
And of course, everyone is going to feel differently. I don't know that anyone is going to feel comfortable with, say, the lead person continuing to put in the money and whoever's involved says, yeah, just put it on my tab. It's like, well, it kind of doesn't work that way, right? Like, that's not the true makeup of the ownership. You got to kind of put it in together unless the business is making money. And so you're taking from the income and you're reinvesting from the income. Cool, that keeps everything apart. But I would say at least just at those big turns, put it out in some form of group communication. I like the text threads, to be honest with you, because it almost serves as, say, a written reminder. So, oh, you never told me that. Hold up. Let's just go take a look.
No, I'm quick with receipts.
I just want to send you a screenshot real quick. This is in our thread.
I'm quick with receipts.
And hey, if you miscommunicated something, you could say, hey, my bad. Actually, the number was this, and I wrote that. There's a typo, but at least there's a written reference of it. So I think at the end of the day, that keeps things clean. No one can be upset about it, and you got to make it happen. But the concept of more drive or clarity on a mission, I don't know that you can. I don't know that you can really do anything about that. That's just a matter of, I'm going to move, and I hope y'all can see it.
Okay. I ain't mad at that. Now, I wanted to make sure the business talk was taken care of because I have a whole theory about this. All right?
Talk about it.
So, first and foremost, I think Brandon Marshall is a genius if this is the strategy that happened, right? So, he played a very big high road on this whole situation. He didn't really say much in the beginning, right? Allow them to say whatever they need to say, have the, painted a picture however they wanted to do that. Now, with that, he understood probably, and this is all theory, people, that I'm going to lose some people, but I want to concentrate on building out behind the scenes with the House of Athletes, with all the network stuff that I'm working. So you go make the rah-rah over there. I'm going to work behind the scenes, still get some really good interviews. And then there's going to be a time, right? And the time was recently, and got Joe Budden, which was strategic because if you're going to talk about breakups, he had one of the biggest breakups as well. So two people who had the biggest breakups of podcasting on one spot to talk about it. Now you're bringing in two different audiences who may have liked Joe Budden, may not, may have been feeling Brandon Marshall, may not, right? And then put him on one platform, be transparent. So now people who left is like, oh, now hearing your side, I can understand. So now it brings some of the audience back while no one's talking about it no more. Both podcasts are very successful, this, that, and the third. But okay, we're about to make some major moves. We're about to go on tour. Let me do this play real quick to possibly get some of the people back. And then boom, I drop this. I'm giving the thing. I'm not saying anything negative about them because honestly, I don't feel anything negative about them. But I am going to be honest because I understand the pure connection to an audience is transparency. And that's something that I had left out in the beginning to now bring it back to bring some people. If he did that strategy, I think he's a genius. I don't think this was by chance at all.
That's a bar, though. You heard what you said?
I don't.
You said at the end there, you said pure connection to the audience is transparency. That's a good bar. It's
true.
Yeah,
it's true. You could be the expert all you want. So he was putting out interviews after interviews and interviews, and it looked low key like if it was a competition because Pivot had great interviews. I Am Athlete had great interviews, right? So it was like torn, like, oh my God, who do I believe more sometimes, right? So he knew, you know what? I never talked about this. Let me get Joe. Let's talk about this. And then let's exchange and double it back because he went on Joe Budden's podcast and talked about it again. Yes.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't listen, but I saw a little clip of him in that.
He's making a run now. He's making a run. He was on Breakfast Club. I don't know if he talked about it on the Breakfast Club, but he was on Breakfast Club. He's making a run because he's doing certain things. I think like I said, I think he's going on tour. He's moving different, right? And it's really cool to see that and how he even broke it down. I love how he broke down, okay, this is how much it is going to be an episode, right? Because if you pay attention to I Am Athlete, it is high quality. It's a whole production. Mm-hmm. It's not what we have, even though we make this look good, right? It's not what we have. It's not just a simple, like, set up some cameras, sit down, keep it moving. No, they have a whole production joint. I'm like, okay, all right. That should cost a good amount of money. Then putting it into consideration with merch and everything. All right, whatever you invest, you'll get back maybe a little bit more.
Yeah. And actually the point that I'll make too, and I want to ask you a question on your thought on this, but he made a great point where he said, if you don't have something to offer, right, as part of what the show is becoming, you're going to almost feel as though you're left out because you simply don't have somewhere to funnel that traffic to, right? So let's say you put up an episode like the one you did with, I don't know, Lil Wayne or whomever. He had a lot of great guests.
Yes.
But you put up an episode like you did with one of those guys, and you get millions of views.
Yes.
And if you're repping House of Athlete, if you're repping maybe the chefs and you're trying to do something for those people, there's traffic, there's attention of at least maybe one person saying, yo, let me go check out this person, what they got going on, right? But if you have nothing going on, quite frankly, you miss out on some opportunities. And that's probably where it becomes a little bit more alarming to you. You feel as though you're not getting your end of the bargain. But my question to you is, do you think that there's maybe a gap in some of the co-hosts and their understanding of business because of maybe the era that they come from versus Brandon Marshall and his creative mind as far as like, I want to create this new narrative and create a locker room feel for athletes. Like, it's very futuristic, right? It's not the traditional, oh, let's do black and white real estate. It's like, okay, you can, those type of business people, and I'm not throwing shade at different types of business people, but I'm just saying, if you come from a different era, you understand business is very black and white. But some of the business in the creative world is completely different, right? It's not similar to what business in the traditional sense is. There are some things that you kind of don't know in the beginning. You actually have to create it. That's why it's called a creative endeavor. So I'm just wondering, like, do you think that the different thought process on what business is, one being extremely creative, like Brandon Marshall involved in fashion and some of these other concepts, versus some of the others who are traditional, like I think he said one of them was on radio.
Yeah.
Like they had very traditional methods versus some of the stuff that he was involved in. Could that have clashed, the business views or whatnot?
I don't think so. I mean, it's possible, but I do know that he was very transparent of, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I could only be transparent about what I offered. He said he came in with a one-pager. This is what is being offered. I don't honestly know what I'm doing. But if it's not being discussed in that beginning part, I'm going to go. Like, I'm just going to move. I'm going to front the money as much as I need. Like this, I believe this is going to work. So I'm going to make sure it works. You come through at the end, depending when you come through, some things has changed. People have been added. We have grown this, right? So I don't know if it's about traditional and creative. I think it's just it's a new space and no one knew anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So even if you were very business minded from a traditional way, some of that is still going to transfer. Some of that is still. But in we're creating a network and no one's been like in that position to create some type of network. Plus they spoke on how fast it grew. No one knew it was going to grow that fast. So of course, now that you're seeing it, now you're like, hold on. Wait. Okay, let's talk about business. When it's important, so important to get with people who believe in it in the jump. Because it gets very uncomfortable when the person realizes later, oh, okay, I see what this is doing. Okay, I thought this was, it was cool, but I didn't know it was bringing in this, or it had this, or it had, like, you want to have people, especially in a close partnership, on some, I really fully see the potential, not, hey, you know what? We're not doing anything. Why not? Come on. Because that's when it becomes the whole, well, certain things are on people's backs and they're going to, because they clearly see it. And then the other person's trying to catch up and the other person's looking at them like, what? Yo, we're millions of followers. We're millions of views. What you talking about? Like, where were you when we wanted to talk about this? He said it in the clip. I had to cut it out because we just played a lot of it. But Fred talked about ownership, but the very first meeting, he didn't show up. And so now here's another thing. If they were friends, why was there such a structure of like, come to the office? And if he didn't show, why wasn't it just a phone call or something after? right? So that was a little confusing to me. But, maybe let's just keep this very serious. Come sit at the table. Let's sign it right here. I'm all for that, right? But I really think this was a content play on getting the audience back, getting the trust of the audience back, and addressing what it is, because they know they're about to do something different and doing something new. So I know the topic. I keep this topic in my back pocket because I know it's going to bring in people, new audience, people who may not have liked us no more. I'm keeping this when it's about to be Fashion Week. I'm keeping this when we're about to do a new venture. Absolutely. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to do this prematurely. They did it. The pivot did it right on time, right? Because they started something new and people want the underdogs to win. So we started something new. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to be very transparent about what happened at the I Am Athlete, so people could watch us like, I want them to win. They just came out of that crazy situation and it's been working. So now, okay, I see your strategy. Let me run that back. That's how I think about this. I don't even think this was such a great, which it was a good interview, but this is such a great episode. This is a play. This is absolutely a play.
Hey, I hope y'all got that. I just learned something new. I'm like, I'm about to start pulling all my secrets out before I'm about to do something new. Like, hey, let me come and tell you.
Think about it. Think about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It makes perfect sense, especially when you compare it to when the pivot launched and they opened up with that conversation, or they kind of went out and spoke about that and then launched their podcast shortly after to throw it. So whether that was intentional or not, it makes a lot of sense to me.
Talk about it.
Yeah.